Well, it's official. We have a new candidate for Best Creepy as Hell Movie Mask for Halloween. Move aside, Ghostface. The Black Phone is brought to us by director Scott Derrickson and stars Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, and Ethan Hawke. After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. So The Black Phone is director Scott Derrickson's latest horror thriller thrill ride. Derrickson previously brought us thrills such as Sinister, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, and Doctor Strange. And what he's brought us this time is disturbing at times, really entertaining at other times, and a little messy sometimes. If you've seen the trailer to this movie, you've more or less seen the movie. That is me saying, don't watch the trailer. It gives way too much away. All you need to know is it is 1978 in rural Colorado, and there is a guy out there snatching up kids. Our main character, Finney, played by Mason Thames, is his latest victim. And while being held captive, he starts to receive messages from beyond the grave to help him out. And one of the things I liked the most about this movie was its tone and its aesthetic. This movie looks the part. It very convincingly sets us in 1978. Everything here is pretty authentic, but not necessarily to that Stranger Things level of authenticity to where there's all this stuff there that's really just kind of member berries. Yeah, it fits in the time period, but it's just there to kind of get you go, oh yeah, I remember that. We don't really have a whole lot of that here. There's a little bit, but not a lot. This is more just setting the tone of 1978, and it does a really good job of that. Speaking of tone, the tone of this story is dark as fuck, and they really pulled it off. Even before Finney is abducted by the Grabber, which is the name of the guy who's stealing kids in this movie, there's this overwhelming sense of dread throughout the film that blankets over the entire town. And that tone continues on after Finney gets abducted, but it is cranked up to 11. Every scene that involves the Grabber, played by Ethan Hawke, is absolutely unnerving. I walked out of this movie believing that Ethan Hawke in real life is a child killer because I don't see how anybody could have played that so well. He was excellent here. And sure, that segmented creepy ass mask he wears that is all over the posters, that definitely helps, but don't get it twisted. It ain't just the mask. This is his performance as well. The movie does a really good job of keeping the tension up. It doesn't really have a lot of downtime. And even though Finney doesn't actually get abducted until about 30 or 45 minutes into the movie, everything leading up to that is extremely tense as well. We also have a subplot. It's not really a subplot. It's more like a side plot that is connected to the main story about Finney's sister, Gwen, played by Madeline McGraw. And I don't know what McGraw has been in before. I'm sure this isn't her first film, but she is wonderful here. I absolutely loved her character. While this is a dark-ass movie and her character is involved in some extremely dark moments in the film, she is the purveyor of levity at times throughout this extremely dark story. And the kid just killed it. She was at the center of some of the key scenes in the film that had me laughing out loud and wincing in pain. And no, not wincing in pain because I was laughing out loud, but like what was going on screen was so fucked up and her character was involved with it and her performance was great. Special note also goes to Jeremy Davis, who plays Finney and Gwen's father. He did a great job here too. His character has a whole lot of layers and complexity to him, and the reason behind he does some of the things that come across as pretty deplorable. I honestly wanted to know more about this character because there are things he does here that make him a very unlikable character, but then there are things that are done that make you understand this character. But I wanted a bit more, and that leads me to a couple of the things about the film that I didn't really care for. Mainly, some of the characters in the film that I believe the film wants you to be more connected to aren't as developed as they should, such as the father and the Grabber himself, Ethan Hawke. These are very interesting characters, and I wanted to know more about them, but you just don't get much. And I would be okay with that, but the film does present them in a way that it expects you to have more of a connection to these two characters in one way or another, and it kind of makes that difficult because you see that there is story there, there's character there, and the performances from these two is wonderful, but you don't quite get enough of them to totally get their motivations. You do to a degree, but not as much as I think the film wants you to. And then there are a couple of characters in the film that just don't have a place in the film. I don't understand why they're there. And I don't mean like background characters. These are characters that are at the forefront. There's a character that is someone's brother, and this character I just don't understand whatsoever why this character was there. There are things that happen to this character just because they are where they are, but if you took this character totally out of the film, it wouldn't have really changed much. And the movie does take its time to focus on this character a few times, and you're just wondering the whole time, why are we focusing on this character? And at the end of the movie, we're like, why was that character even there? It focused on him a few times, and they just brought nothing to it. Things like this make parts of the film just feel like wasted time. And then there are the last few minutes of the film. Now, I didn't hate the end of this movie. There are actually some things in it that are enjoyable, but it suddenly just gets a bit sloppy right there at the end, like pretty much in every way. The storytelling, the editing, just overall. It's not awful by any means, but it's just kind of sloppy, especially when compared to everything that came before it. That and the movie kind of ends very abruptly. I mean, we get closure on everything. It ties everything up that I can remember, but it just kind of ends really quick. It didn't feel like we were coming to the end. I mean, we obviously were, based on the things that are happening on screen, but it just seems like everything was really rushed there in the end. Now, I know it seems like I'm bitching and moaning about this movie a lot, and yeah, I did have some issues with it, but overall, the experience I did enjoy. This story kind of seems like a Stephen King-light type of story, and I don't mean that in a negative way, I mean that in a very positive way. And one of the big contributing factors to that is that the original story, The Black Phone, was written by Joe Hill, who, if you didn't know, is Stephen King's son. Damn, they look just alike. There ain't no denying that one, Steve. And while I haven't read the original story, Hill is one of the producers on the film, so I assume that this is pretty close to his original vision. And what he gave us here is a pretty interesting story. It just has a couple of trip-ups here or there. Now, it was a short story originally, so maybe they had to add a bunch of stuff to pad out that runtime, and that's where some of the issues came in. Honestly, don't know, but I do love me some Stephen King, and this is very reminiscent of Stephen King, and overall, this was a pretty enjoyable ride. As enjoyable as a movie about a child serial killer can be. Also, the movie is being billed as a horror film. I really wouldn't call it a horror. I'd call it more of a thriller. It does have some horror aspects to it, but this is definitely more thriller. Just know that going in, because I have heard some people talking about how, oh, it's a new horror movie. Maybe not so much. It is still an entertaining thriller ride, but horror, it kind of skirts the line a bit. I mean, it is about a child killer, and that's about as horrible as you could get, so I guess there's that horror, but you know what I mean. Guys, The Black Phone wasn't a perfect movie, but it was a pretty entertaining movie. I do wish some of the characters in it were a bit more fleshed out, and it has some characters in it that just don't even need to be there. Things do get just a bit sloppy there in the end, but the movie has a fantastic tone, a great pace. Story is really entertaining overall, and some of the performances are fantastic. While it may not be the be-all, end-all of horror thrillers, it is a really solid one and absolutely worth a rent.
All he wanted was this.
To return some videotape.
So yeah, if you're looking for a Stephen King-esque dose of nostalgic thrills, then check out The Black Phone one night, and I think you'll have a pretty good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of The Black Phone. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below, become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys, and possibly check out my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Silverlock and Marge G. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Derry. So yeah, that segmented mask that Ethan Hawke's character is wearing in this movie is fucking terrifying, and I just know we're gonna see a whole bunch of little fuckers running around on Halloween with it. Because yeah, that's all I want to see on Halloween night while I'm standing outside, and out of the darkness comes that thing. You will get shot at my house.